Okay, welcome back, guys. I'm excited to finish and go back to my family.
Yay!
Hallelujah.
Just a recap of yesterday before we can answer the three questions that we discussed about the political situation during Jesus' time, the religious situation, and as well as his family situation. What was the big takeaways yesterday? One from Switzerland, India, Malawi, and Nigeria. Just a few things that was a takeaway yesterday. Let's start with Switzerland today.
I liked how you said, I'm going to butcher this, but that development and like aid is. You came down with me, Josh. You kind of remember what it was, but basically to make yourself irrelevant was the point, and I really like that. I think it's really true in this context, but also in a lot of other contexts where you're trying to help people or lead people. The goal is to make it so they can do it themselves.
Yeah, thank you so much. The goal of development is not that you stay forever, but you create a way that you exit and you should not be relevant. Make yourself irrelevant. You have to disappear. Otherwise, you become a god. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. India, what was your takeaway yesterday?
Yesterday you said about the Good Samaritan. So there we can see three persons, lady and priest. So when we observe that particular passage, when the person is suffering with that, he was beaten by the thieves and he is about to die. But the devoter is working, they're serving God, but even though they are not helping to him. So the Good Samaritan, he is the one untouchable person, but even though he had love with for neighbors, how to take care. So from yesterday class, I learned that problems maybe come into our lives, but when we overcome out of the problems, so it will be help to others also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the Good Samaritan principle. That development, you can give relief and it's open for everybody. And in this story, you see a Samaritan who was not even in good terms with the Jews. He was the one helping the victim. So relief can be done by everybody and anybody, but rehabilitation is the issue that experts need to be involved, because if anybody just do it, you can bring harm more than good. It can take longer to heal, if you are just doing the trial and error. So we see this Good Samaritan is bringing this person to the inn, and then development is to prepare people that they can be better than before, so that they are much stronger when another catastrophe or a difficulty is coming. Thank you so much. Malawi, what was your big takeaway yesterday?
All right. My takeaway of yesterday was biblical development. We need to grow in 4 areas like physical, spiritual, social, and wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Nigeria, but we don't have yet.
All right.
Both are here. Okay.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning.
It's good to be in class. My takeaway yesterday was on the discipleship model that you speak about. that you said, number one, first, you do, and the people they watch, that is your disciples, you do and they watch. Second, you do together. And third, they do and you assist, you correct, you do some things. And lastly, they do themselves without you. So this really helps me and shaped my my thinking and my thoughts on how to disciple people. So this was my takeaway yesterday from your example. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so the idea of development is that it has to be sustainable. So it will not going to be sustainable if you remain there forever. You become a God figure, you become eternal like God, but you make yourself irrelevant, you disappear. So you have an exit plan from the beginning of your project, so that you know this is exactly how long the project will take, and then you have your team, you build your team. Very sad, in Africa, many people, they have gone to the grave with their expertise, their ideas, because we don't like to share. Somebody said, I don't remember whether it's Marcus or what, said the Africans can share a bed with you, but they cannot share their ideas. So we need to change that, to start training people from the beginning. So yeah, biblical development, that's what the last thing we did. That these are the indicators when you go to every community, every nations, that the communities, the nations, the individuals, they have to grow in 4 areas, just like Jesus did, because Jesus is our model, is our example. So we need to grow physically, the way we take care of our environment, the way we relate to the resources and all other things, physical parts of this creation. We need to take care of it and to make sure that it's in good balance. We need to grow spiritually, our relationship with God, as we have learned that the causes of poverty, they are not only material cause, they are also spiritual dimension. And then social relationships, they need to develop, because you can advance in life if you are very skilled, or if you are good in building relationship, networking with other people. There are people who are today skilled, they can do great, but because of their character, they are not networkers, they cannot do something. And then we have to grow in wisdom. Always we need to grow. If you stop learning, you start to die. So there are, of course, when we have to develop projects, we need to think of these 4 areas of growth. What can we do in Europe, and what can we do in other parts of the world? Because the needs, they're not the same. But you can see that other parts of the world, they might be rich in relationships and they may be spiritual, but they're poor physically and the wisdom. And they will find the West will be rich in material possession and in wisdom, but poor spiritually and socially. So these are the projects that we can do. We all need development. Okay, so we had this exercise to look at Jesus, our model. The Bible says he was growing. He was not just, God and all-knowing, but there was a process of growth. So we were looking at what was the situation. So I would like to just take some few feedback, but then we can go on and finish today. We have some few things that we need to do to finish today. So let's start with Malawi today. Malawi, your representative, please.
On the questions that we are given, we discussed and things that we found. Based on the first question, what was the political situation during Jesus' time? we have found that during Jesus' time, these people were ruled by the emperors. And on Luke chapter 2, there is Augustus Caesar who declared that there must be census. And Joseph with Mary, they went to do that census. So we found that their political situation, the people were ruled by the emperors, and the emperor in that time was Augustus Caesar. And the second question, what was the religious situation? On the same Luke chapter 2, when Jesus was born, he was taken to the temple for ritual. And we see that this was according to the law of Moses, which means they were still, their doctrine was based on the book of Moses, that's Torah. And these people were the Judaism, they were Judaism. And on the final question, what was Jesus' family situation? We see that these people were the locals. Why? On the same Luke chapter 2, when Jesus was about to born, when Mary was about to deliver, they failed to have a place, a good place for the delivery. And Jesus was born in a certain place where cattle were kept, and it was in a monger. So they were the people of the locals. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to India, then Nigeria, finally Switzerland. India.
Yeah, from India, first question answer is in Jesus' time, the political situation is it's ruling by Roman Empire. So the Roman Empire, the king is when Jesus was in child time, there is king called Pharaoh. So his son was ruling Herod. So his son is ruling while Jesus is crucifying on the cross. And also, second question answer is Jewish religious. So we are following according to how God gave to Moses. We are following according to that laws in those days. Also, the third question answer is when Jesus was there, his brothers and those people are not yet believe in him. So after death of Christ, one of his brothers started believing in him. He is the Son of God, like that.
Thank you. Right. Nigeria, Ibadan.
All right. The political situations during Jesus' time, as we can see in the scripture, it was the era of some emperors, like Herod. When Jesus Christ was born, you can see that Herod came up to question his authority as a lord, and he wanted to king him. Then later, we can also see during his ministry that Caesar came up also to question his authority about tax. You know, when Jesus said, "Give what belongs to Caesar," so he grew among all these political people. Then what are the religious situations? The religious situation, Jesus came up among the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who were also questioning him about the laws of Moses, because they are teachers of the law. And then we can see that Jesus' family situation at this time is a family was a little bit poor. They were poor to the extent that the father happened to be a carpenter, and Jesus Christ grew up in that family. I believe that Jesus must have also learned something like carpentry alongside with them. So that is the family situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Switzerland.
I don't mind doing it. I don't mind. You can add on probably.
I can do it. Or we can do it.
Can I do it?
You want? Yes.
Okay. From talking about the political situation of that time. So we have history in the intertestamental period when the Israelites were taken into captivity to Babylon. So during that time, the Babylonians, and they came through the Persians. But then when the Greeks came through, they had their language kind of spread all throughout the region and their culture as well. So then we had a lot of the Hellenistic influence, that is the influence from the Greeks, as well as this often made the lingua franca, the trading language of the time, being Greek, was going around a lot too. So, but of course, the Greeks had split up when Alexander the Great had died into the Ptolemies and Seleucid empires. And then the Seleucids took over the Ptolemies, which were over the region of Judea. Then the Maccabean revolts happened, which were the Jewish people rising up against the Seleucids based off of the mistreatment of the people and as well as desecrating their temple. And so there was a series of revolts coming up from the Maccabees until the Romans came, and then the Romans came through in like 68 or 69 BC, took over the area, made a province of Judea, and so the Romans had the firm grip on the area for about 70 years or so into the time of Jesus. Religious situation was that during the exile, of course, people no longer had a temple, so thus they broke up into different kind of fragments. You had the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the scribes, and the people rise up during that time. And then, of course, when the return happened under Persia, then they would go under there, go back, and then there were these kind of different segments and sections of the Jewish faith, which up to that point had been all centralized at the temple. You had the Greek, their gods come through when they conquered the land, and then the Romans mostly adopted the Greek gods. So then you had the pantheon of Rome/Greece, and also the emperor cult worship, so everybody worshipped the emperor. So that was very common during the day. And they basically gave the Jews religious freedom-ish. They could worship in their area as long as they didn't cause too much trouble, they were fine. And then with Jesus' family situation, as others have said, there's like I think 2 times where Jesus says that he went back to his family in Nazareth, and both times they kind of weren't very fond of him. So it's pretty clear that Jesus' family was not super supportive of him early on. Later on, of course, we know James and Jude, his brothers, would go on to write their epistles, and so they became church leaders to some extent. But yeah, up until that point, Jesus' family rejected him, and especially in this area of Luke 2, we see his mom caring for him. So his mom was around, but who knows about his dad? So that'd be my summary of these questions.
Thank you. Big hand for Switzerland. There's a good understanding of history here. Thank you so much. The point with this exercise was to really understand that it was not easy for Jesus. Okay? But yet he managed to grow, to develop. That means each and every community, every nation, they can develop. Because looking at the political situations of Jesus, we all can agree that it was not easy. There was a revolt, there was a rioting, there was a political instability. Okay? And the Jews, they were under the foreign power ruling them. Okay? So, yet, Luke is telling us that Jesus was able to what? To develop in that situation. So, this serves as an encouragement to each one of us that we cannot say, I cannot do anything because my political situation, my country is not stable, or things are not going well politically. As an individual, as we say that development starts with people, we have to aim to grow and to develop. We need to have a growing plan as
Very
people.
good.
Okay, and you can see the religious situation from what the pieces I'm getting from all the parts. You're going to see that it was not easy as well. It was a corrupt system. It was not a fair. It was not that he has a pure environment to grow spiritually. So again, that one also is an example for us that even in a corrupt where there is a lot of religious corruption going on, we can still have a growing process. We can grow if we want to seek God. If we want to find the truth, we can grow, because Jesus was able to grow in a corrupt religious system, whereby there was like the battles and the arguments between the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Zealots, and the Essenes, and all these other groups which were there. But he grew. So we cannot have the argument that now we have a lot of religions. I don't know what to believe. How can I grow? You know, Jesus, our model, didn't have a perfect environment for his spirituality. Okay, looking at his family situation, there are two things that I'm getting from all the parts. Number one, that he was coming from a poor family. We can all agree on that. Even during the time that Joseph and Mary had to dedicate him on the temple, they could not afford a sheep or a lamb. They needed to bring a dove, birds. This was, according to the law, this was the offering for poor people. So he was coming from a poor family. And number two, the issue that from his ministry earlier on, at the start of his ministry, his family, they were not supportive. They wanted to take him away. They said maybe he has demon, they wanted to stop him. Yet the Bible said he grew. Are we together? So you can come out of poverty, you can come out of a difficult situation, even if the family, they are not full supporting you, you can grow, you can develop. So that's this story should serve as an encouragement for development and growth, that we should not give up in tough times, in difficult situations. There's never been a time that everything was perfect. If you're waiting for a perfect environment to do something, forget about it. Okay? So there's always tough times, Go back to your Bibles, from Genesis to the end, to Revelation. That's the picture we have. There will always be conflict. There will be always tough time. There will be always issues going on. But the goal is that we have to grow and do our best. Give it if you fail, give it a second shot. Okay, rise up and go forward. We can bring transformation. We can bring a change. Because for Jesus, it was not easy. It was not going to be easy for you. And it was not easy for the reformers. It was not easy for anybody else. So that was the main reason why I thought that we can discuss these questions. So now we are going back now to the beginning as we go towards the end of our lecture. So we will look at environmental stewardship. So I want you to go back to the first scripture that we had from Peter. That scripture, it said, God has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. So I said, many people in churches in the Christendom, we concentrate more on the things that makes us godly, okay, self-control, love, and all kinds of things. But the question was, what are the things that makes life possible? Okay, what are the things that can support life? Because Paul said God has provided these things that can support life, which can make us, who we are. So now we are coming to answer that question by showing you that what Peter was quoting from that scripture, that portion of scripture in Peter, he was quoting Genesis 1. The things that makes life, you find it in Genesis 1, the story of creation. So I have an experiment here that we're going to do. Since I'm having a science background, so I like to do some experiments. It's the best way to show to the Sunday school kids about the story of creation. But we will do, I hope, Mr. Simon can zoom in to my pyramid. But most of the time, I do.
Yes.
Hey.
Wow.
Yeah, okay, good. Most of the time, good job. Most of the time, I take time to read through Genesis 1 and I build this. But I just realized that today I don't have time. But what I want to show you is that when you read Genesis 1, you're going to find that there is order and there is a design in Genesis 1. Things, they're not random. Okay? God is a master builder. And when he was, creating, he didn't just do it anyhow. There is a structure and proper steps that he was following to make life possible. So that's what we call creation pyramid. Creation pyramid. So you can see there is a foundation. These are the first thing that when you read the first verses of the Bible of Genesis 1:1, going down, you're going to find that there is air, there is soil, land. On my pyramid I wrote land and water. This is the first step. This is the first thing that God created. The question is why? Why did he have to create air, land, and water? And then on the second level, you have animals and plants. And man was the last one to be created. So why was man the last one? Why didn't he just start with man?
So you needed something to roll over?
Okay.
He needed a way of staying alive, food, sustenance, water, oxygen.
Yeah. Okay. So without air, without land, without water, man will not going to even survive. Without animals and plants, you're not going to survive. You understand? So that's why man has to be the last thing, because man will need what? Air. We need some plants for medicine, animals. Thank God for vegetarians.
Yay.
Most of us, we like meat, Yeah, we need water, So these are the things that God had to think about. Okay? So Paul, not Paul, Peter, is saying God has given us all things that pertain what? To life. That makes life what? Possible. And to make us godly. So when we are to train people, when we are to teach people, we have to bring this balance. It's not just a spiritual thing, It's not only the things that makes us godly, but also the things that makes us alive. Okay? So now we just want to do a practical work here. We want 2 volunteers, preferably a lady and a guy, to come to the pyramid here and try just to take one of the foundation pyramid and see if man can survive on the end.
He wants to go.
You have to be very careful, don't kill that man. Okay?
Okay.
Take one piece and then don't kill the man. Okay?
You go
The
first.
guy.
Don't kill the man. Don't
Don't
kill
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 it.
him.
Don't kill it.
It has to be from here. I can't hold up here.
You don't have to hold him.
I
But
just
it's
have to-
depending on those ones, so don't kill him.
No.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I know. It's like, is it more balanced?
I think it's all right, but
Yeah.
I think it's pretty unavoidable.
He's dead.
Good job.
Good job. Good job. Yeah.
Okay.
Good work.
Okay, let's try. You try again. Try again.
Me or him?
You stick the whole thing close to each other.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you can try.
Let's
Let's try.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it would work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take one of the bottom ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh,
No.
interesting.
Smart one. What do you say?
Huh?
That fixes.
If he allowed to touch the second level.
But you manipulated it now. Okay, I think the point is clear.
Good job.
Good job. Okay. Okay, so you can see that there was a design, there is order, and there was purpose. Why God had to make the things that way. Okay, but what do we do as human beings?
We try and take them out for our own good.
So when, as a human being, we pollute the air, okay? We pollute the water. We make the soil not fertile. We kill some animals. We cut down the plants, the trees, and then we have problems because these are the things that support life, okay? The things that God has provided to support life. So we can pollute the air, we will have airborne diseases, and then if we are a Waiwama, then you say, oh, we pray, we pollute the water and say, okay, now you have problems, and we pray for miracles. Sometimes God says, shut up, just clean the water.
Stop and clean.
Take care of the environment, But, there are miracles, of course, but we are responsible because we are his junior partners, you understand?
Mhm.
So we need to take care of the things, the resources that God has given to us. In Africa, there are some animals that they are missing now because
Yes.
some tribes, we hunt them just because we want their skin. I am Ngoni by tribal in my culture. The Ngoni, they like their clothing. The traditional cloth was from animals. So we could kill some animals just to have the skin. And, poaching is a big problem in this world. That's why now there are some rules and regulation to protect animals and to protect plants, And just look at the situation in Malawi. We had mudslides, we have water gushing out the mountain. But we can ask the question, why did we have mudslides? Oh, the answer will be, because there was too much rain or there was a flood cycle. But if we can go deeper, we're going to see that deforestation has also played a major role. If our mountains, if our hills, they had trees, their roots, they hold the soil together, So the impact wouldn't be as much as it is. Why? Because we are taking care of the environment. So this is the things God has already created in his design to support life. And that's what Peter was quoting, that God has given us all things that pertain to what? Life and godliness. Okay, so if you are struggling in your life, you cannot tell me that you're going to be also doing well spiritually. Okay, because you need food, you need all the things that support life to make you also a good Christian. That's why Paul, that's why Peter is telling us that God has provided all things that pertain to life and godliness. And man was the last to be created because he needed to manage this thing. He's a manager. We need to take care of the things that God has created. Are we together?
Yes.
So I have a question. Can you think of any business in this world Now, if I'm teaching business, now that's the question. If I'm using this pyramid for business development, I ask people, can you think any business in this world, any, that people they are doing, it doesn't involve this? India, Malawi, and anyway, you can contribute. The microphone is open. Just think of any business that people in this world they are doing, and it doesn't involve air, it doesn't involve sunlight, it doesn't involve water, it doesn't involve, anything. Come on, in Malawi we have smart people. Can you tell us one business, please? Hey, India, very intelligent people. Please give us one. Nigeria.
Yes, witchcraft.
Yeah? Witchcraft. At least witches, from my studies, they still use the air to fly. They need the air to breathe.
They need the blood. They need different things.
They need a plant to produce a broom as their airplane. Okay, so you can see that the answer, there is no any other business. Even if you say it's IT or what, they will still need a ground to build their office. Okay, so God has provided what we need for life. And if there is something that God has given to every culture equally, is this foundation resources. Every culture, every country, you cannot go in the country that they say they don't have air, or they don't have water, or they don't have land, or they don't have animals, or plants, or they don't have people. God has provided equally. Maybe the argument might be that some they have too much, some no less, but God has given. Okay? So each and every person, human being, God has made sure that He has given us access, connecting us to the source of production. So that's what we need to when it talks about development, we need to connect people to the source of production, because these are the things that makes life possible. There's no any civilization in this world that they can say we don't need water, we don't need we don't need these things. Every civilization, they depend on these primary resources, and God has given it equally to every culture, every people, every nation. They are connected to the source of production. But what differs is our management of the resources. The way we manage the resources, that's the biggest thing. So you go to Genesis chapter number 2, you're going to see that God said He withheld rains. Rain could not come on this earth. Why? Because He said there was no manager, there was no man. Okay? There is no money. So human people, or human beings, they are very important. They're the primary resource. That's why you need to have a plan of growth, because the resources, they are there. The opportunities, they are there in each and every culture. We need to develop these resources to develop. That's why, if I can go back now to the pyramid of development, foundations for development, we say that the baseline is what? Natural resources. Remember? Natural resources and effective government, then infrastructure, then financial services and businesses. So each and every culture, each and every nation, no matter where you can go, you'll find these resources. And some they have less, some have more. Africa have the most. It's the richest continent. Even the growth of plants in Africa is incredible because you have the most sun. Okay, you need sun to grow plants, to grow crops, and the Africa they have the most of it. That's why we are black. Strong sun. Eh? When I'm here in Europe, I'm losing my color. I'm losing my beauty. So we have the most of it. So God has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. But the question is, how can we manage it in the way that it becomes a blessing? So what is environmental stewardship? Or is there any question about the pyramid? Sorry. Any question? Okay. Environmental steward, the word environment, it includes the air, water, minerals, and all other external factors surrounding and affecting organism at any time. And stewardship, it means just management of resources. So that's what I'm talking about. Stewardship means management of resources. So we are managers. Human beings, they are created with God. They are created by God so that we can be His junior partners, that we can expand the garden. Okay, life started in the garden, but that was not the goal. Outside the garden, what was outside the garden? Eden. It was the ugliness, it was the wilderness. It was not good because the definition of a garden, it means somebody has built it and has made it that way. Okay, so God, as any other teacher in the world, has given an example, and He wanted to give an example, an example to Adam and Eve. You remember what He taught them? He said, "Subdue, fill the earth." That means they have to multiply what they have seen God has done with the Garden of Eden. Are we together?
Yes.
So that project didn't finish because we have creation 4 and what? Redemption. Okay. So life started in the garden. It will end what? In the garden city. Okay. What is happening in between? Development. Yeah. Are we together? What is happening in the what? In between is development. How do we do that? By being good managers of the resources that God has given unto us.
So good.
If I always challenge people when it comes to business development that God will not going to give you more than what you can manage. Okay, so if you want more, what you need is to upskill your management skills. Okay, because God will give you what you can manage. He's not in the business of wasting resources. There are a lot of resources out there already, but depending on how you manage things, God will trust you with more or not, because He's not in the business of wasting resources. And there are more resources there. If we live godly lives, that's what Peter is saying. God has given us all what we need for godliness and life. But the question is, are we willing to step up our management skills? The question of poverty, there are some parts, if you can go and into statistics and find out how much food Europe wastes a day, brains that they throw away, that is not good. And we are wasting a lot of food, you understand? But yet so the world can produce more and through the good management technology, and we can produce more. We can fight this poverty. We can fight the problems that we have. but we need to step up before managing this. Okay, so Simon, I'll need your help here.
Yeah.
For the sound.
You can stop sharing.
Yeah.
You can stop sharing. Then
Sharing. So we watched this video clip, and then after that we'll have a stretch break. Okay. During the break, we're going to talk about what we have seen, what Israel has done in agriculture. Okay.
In 1867, Mark Twain toured the land of Israel, known back then as Palestine. Here's how he described it: a desolate country whose soil is rich enough, but is given over wholly to weeds, a silent, mournful expanse. There was hardly a tree or a shrub anywhere. Palestine sits in sackcloth and ashes, desolate and unlovely. Today, Mark Twain wouldn't even recognize this land. Out of rocky soil, out of swamps, and even out of deserts, Israelis have created gardens, vineyards, and farms with some of the most innovative techniques in the world.
It was just this country with incredible dynamism and energy and excitement and food and people and a sense of family and ultimately a sense of belonging.
It's been said that the modern state of Israel was born on the kibbutz. So it's only natural that much of Israel's innovation was born there as well.
The kibbutz is the cornerstone in a lot of ways of a lot of things in Israeli society.
People came back wanting to create a collective and an equal society. And these kibbutzim became a very, very effective way to defend the land, to start getting young people engaged in agriculture. Remember, Jews were forbidden in most countries of the world to actually own land or to work the land. Jews couldn't be farmers. To all of a sudden see a generation of Jews farming the land in a collective environment, it was incredible.
Before Israel even became a state, Jews by the thousands came to live there on communal farms. But when they arrived in the Promised Land, it wasn't exactly flowing with milk and honey. The coastal plains were swampy, the Galilee and the Judean hills were rocky, and the southern half of the country was mostly desert.
Since the people of Israel left our homeland 2,000 years ago, the area was mismanaged. So we want to preserve and rehabilitate this holy land.
The early Jewish settlers faced a number of obstacles, from bad soil to Bedouin raiders, but they faced an even bigger enemy that threatened to destroy the Jewish state before it began. In the early decades of the 20th century, Israel was a breeding ground for mosquitoes carrying malaria. They overtook the coastal plains and the Jordan Valley, the only land available for Jews to buy since the local Arabs had decided it was uninhabitable. In 1920, more than a third of all Jewish residents of Palestine had malaria. So with no other choice, they went to work. They drained the swamps and sprayed the land and changed the flow of water in irrigation canals to interrupt the mosquitoes' breeding. They were so successful that a commission from the League of Nations visited Palestine to learn what they did. Less than 20 years after Israel's statehood, the country was officially malaria-free. Once the threat of malaria was gone, Jewish settlers were free to focus on making the desert bloom. In the coastal plains, citrus groves replaced the swamps. In the Jordan Valley, once the center of the malaria epidemic, now became the country's breadbasket. The Negev desert blossomed with newly planted forests and vineyards. And the Arava, once the most arid part of Israel, became the site of a flourishing vegetable industry.
All of this was accomplished in the first 20 years of Israel's statehood. In that time, they more than doubled their standard of living. And now they're using their experience to help other countries.
In the 1970s, they created a new breed of cherry tomato that's disease-resistant and has a longer shelf life. They also bred a new kind of potato that can be grown in hot, dry climates and irrigated by salt water. These vegetables are now being grown in dry countries like Jordan, Egypt, and Morocco. Israeli scientists not only found ways to grow more crops, they also found new ways to preserve them. Grain Pro cocoons provide an inexpensive way for farmers to keep their grain market fresh by keeping out water, air, and insects. The Israeli cocoons are being used in Africa, the Far East, and even Pakistan, a nation with no diplomatic ties to Israel.
The kibbutz over time began to change. Israeli society began to change, became more capitalistic, became more focused on free enterprise and entrepreneurship, and the individual taking responsibility for himself and therefore benefiting the overall society. There have been many very exciting companies that have been built in kibbutzim.
One of those companies is now doing business around the world.
If you went to the average Israeli 10, 12 years ago and said to them organic, they wouldn't have a clue what you were talking about. Here we've been doing organic farming for over 40 years.
Kibbutz Sde Eliyahu was founded by German refugees in 1934, and many of their early members were survivors of the Holocaust.
The biggest problem that we had when we started the organic was, what do you do if you're not using chemicals? How do you get rid of the pests?
Their answer was to fight bugs with more bugs.
Every single thing in nature has a natural enemy. What eats or what attacks these pests that are attacking our crops?
They started breeding different insects in the bomb shelter of the kibbutz. The idea was to breed predators to destroy the pests that ate their crops. The result was a new company called BioBee.
We went to the Israeli farmers. We said, "You want to buy some bugs?" They said, "What are you, crazy? We don't have enough bugs in the field. You want us to buy bugs?"
Eventually, they won over farmers in Israel and in 32 other countries as well. In California, 60% of the strawberry fields are treated with products from BioBee. The company also found a way to deal with one of the region's most devastating insects, the Mediterranean fruit fly.
We take the males of the species and we sterilize them. And then we release the sterile males into the environment. There's no future generation. And slowly, slowly, we lower the population without using harmful chemicals.
They also solved another agricultural problem: how to pollinate greenhouse plants.
The classic example we like to give is tomato plants. Tomato plants in nature, in the fields, are pollinated by the wind. In Israel, the majority of our tomatoes are not grown in the fields. They're grown in greenhouses. And in greenhouse, in a climate-controlled environment, you don't have that wind. You don't have the natural pollination. We had to find other methods of pollination.
Their solution was to breed bumblebees.
They collect pollen for food. They have to go and work even in cold weather conditions. They don't have stores of honey in the hive. They have to go and work. We're saving the farmer money because instead of paying people, the bees are doing the work. And the bees, unlike people, they don't miss a single flower. So once the farmers started using the bees for pollination, the yield of the tomato crops increased by 25%. In Hebrew, we say, "Ma rabu ma'asech Elokim," you know, how great and wonderful are creations, God. And this really shows that every single thing has a reason. There's a purpose for everything, these tiny little things, and look how much good they do for us, for the world, for the farmers, for the environment. It's really, really amazing.
Farmers at Sde Eliyahu not only targeted insects, they also found a creative way to get rid of rodents as well.
What we used to do is basically used to take poison in a bottle, in a teaspoon. And somebody's job was to walk up and down the rows, and every time they saw a mouse hole, to take a teaspoon of poison and throw it down the hole. Now, obviously that's not ecologically friendly. On top of that, if it rains or if we irrigate our fields, all that poison is going in the ground. So we said, what is a natural solution to rodents? And the natural solution that we found is the barn owl. The barn owl is an amazing raptor. 2 owls can capture an average of 2,000 to 5,000 mice a year. Okay, that's a lot of rodents.
There was just one problem with the owls.
They fly away. And one of the places they would fly to is Jordan, which is very close by. In Jordan, they were shooting them. In Arab folklore, the barn owl is a harbinger of death. And they're very superstitious about barn owls. So they see a barn owl, they shoot it. So very simply, we went to Jordan, and we invited the Jordanian farmers to come to Steliao to see what we were doing here. This was over 20 years ago. And today we have over 2,600 nesting boxes across the country. The numbers keep growing. But also it's become a wonderful program of regional cooperation, also with Jordan, also with the Palestinian Authority. This has been amazing, amazing success story. We tell the people it's not the dove bringing peace anymore to the Middle East, it's the barn owl. We're a light unto the nations, we're supposed to be anyways. If we want to really save the environment, if we really want to help the world, then we can't keep these things to ourselves. We have to share these things. We have to share this knowledge. And I think by helping others, we're helping ourselves as well.
Right. We can discuss during break, and then we can share our thoughts, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can stop
Yes.
sharing.
So we just take a 5 minutes break and then we come back together.
Okay, so we just watched the video. So I hope you could have maybe time to discuss during the break, the 5 minutes break or not, but I would like just to have some ideas of what was standing out for you in this video, and then we'll summarize. We go, this is our final moment. We're about to finish. So let's start here in Switzerland, and then we'll go to Malawi, finish with India this time.
I was impressed that the whole in 20 years they went from having 1/3 of the population having malaria to being completely malaria free. It kind of shows what, you know, a very motivated group of people with the same mind, what you can accomplish in just 2 decades. Like how much could we do, could other nations who are suffering from these things do? It was really inspiring to hear that.
Yeah, it's very inspiring watching just how having dominion over the plants, the animals, using them for our benefit, but also their own benefit. That we don't have to use chemicals for farming, for example, and we can create sustainable ways of actually using nature as an advantage. So yes, I was very impressed by that.
Thank you.
I also thought it's very interesting to see how they really understood that God really gave everything, and that really every plant or animal and the smallest spot, or how do you call it, really has his place to be and has this important role, and to use that for the farming kind of, it's really inspiring that we don't need to do, like you said, anything chemical, but actually God placed everything there that it works out, and we just need to use it in a way, in a good way.
Thank you. One more person or two in Switzerland, then we'll go another location.
I think what is very interesting is, God promised the land would flow with milk and honey, but it's not there. So I see that people need to work for it to make that land that flows with abundance. So that is very interesting, in the creativity that they have, just to look into the how much close they can make it natural, or like a bio that can benefit and that does not harm their crops, and just like the details, like how much they take care of this. It's very interesting, and God gave that ideas and creativity for them to do that. And that would make the land that would flow with milk and honey, actually.
that they need to work for it.
Thank you. We go to another location. Okay. What did I say, Malawi? Did I say Malawi?
You end in India. I know you end in India.
Yes, and in India.
That's all I remember.
Malawi, what was your takeaway from what you've watched?
From the video, we have seen several things. Like the first thing, draining the swamp. If the people are not determined, we can just give it up and say, this is a malaria or mosquito-prone area, should not be settled, should not be found. But they had the initiative, a focus, work together to drain the swamp and make it better for agriculture. And another thing, again, we see that identifying or discovering that in terms of nature, every living thing has an enemy. So we just need to invite to be strategic in order to solve a problem rather than just using poison like what they did with the rodents and the other things. And on the same spot again, using an owl, for example, here in Malawi, using that bird is a taboo. Whenever we see it, what we desire to kill it. It is we are more like Jordan people. Yeah, it is a sign of death. Eliminate it. But we learn from the video that it can be used to get rid of the rodents. So we see that sometimes situation may come as a problem, but if we look with a different eye, they can bring a solution that can help the coming generation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask why the owl is a symbol of death?
Yeah, go ahead. You have a question, Malawi. You are privileged. You have a question. You said, why do you think that an owl is the harbinger of death? Why? Yeah?
Birds here in Malawi, because most of the time it flies at night, so it is connected with witchcraft. That's why we see that the symbol of death. Yeah, in a Malawian way.
So most of the deaths happen in the night.
Yeah, during the night, witches fly during the night. The bird itself flies during the night, so we just connected witchcraft, bad omen.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. India. Ibadan, Nigeria.
Yeah, what we got from the message, from the video we just watched, is despite the promise that was made to the Israelites, that the promised land is flowing with milk and honey, we were able to see that in reality, the land was not like that. But they have to play a part to make it be like that. Despite the fact that the soil was rocky, was somehow like a desert, but they go to work, they gather the stones, they did really many good works that turned that country into a great agricultural country today. So what I got from the video is really we have to look inward. We have to, there is a solution to everything. We have to look inward and really make up our minds to work, solve whatever problems that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. India, the last but not the least.
That's actually an interesting video that we just watched. From there, we see that there is a solution for everything, not just from outside any chemicals, rather, but nature itself has a solution for the problems that has. That is one thing, and at the same time, every creation that God has made, everything that God created is useful for some purpose. Everything's been made for some purpose.
Yeah, thank you. I think this video is really summarizing the ideas very well when it comes to development and understanding poverty. How can a culture develop and grow? So we could see it in a practical way. That these people, they are coming in a land which was promised to be flowing with milk and honey, but it was not like that because there were some inhabitants in that land. They took the best place, and what was remaining for the Jews was not good. But what they did, you could hear in the video, he said the land was what? Mismanaged. Did you quote that word? Yeah. So again, the management part is coming. The land was there, but it was what? Mismanaged. So that means you can have things, you can have very good things, but if you must manage it, you can languish in poverty. In Africa, we have the things, we have resources, but if we don't manage it, we can languish in poverty. Okay, so you can see that it was a culture which that these people, they were poor. Okay, they were in trouble, they were refugees. To be a refugee, you don't have property, you don't have things. But when they came, they become serious with their management skills. Okay, they didn't take the challenges to say no. Now we are cursed, or there is a problem, but they look for a solution. Okay, what should we do with the desert? Okay, we can afforestate it. We can plant some trees. What should we do with the swamps? What should we do with the rocky? What should we do with this area? And plan and manage it accordingly. Okay, and finding solutions in the created, within the creation to solve the problem in creation. So they were so creative. And did you also hear the issue of worldview? Okay, the worldview of the people matters. Okay, the Jews, they are seeing the all and saying this is a solution to our problem, Lord's problem. While the Jordanians and the Palestinians, they shoot it. The same thing. You can see the same thing, but you can come to the different conclusion. Worldview. So the worldview of the people matters. That's why we need also to work on the worldview. What did God say when He created things, the animals and what? He was saying it was good. It was good. It was good. And how come now we say what God says it's good now is a message of death? So you can see somehow there's misinformation somewhere, So that's what we can see, that we need always go to the Bible, not to what our culture and what our ideas are telling us about the thing, but how did God define His creation when He was doing it, when He was creating? He said it was good. It was good. That means the all is good. It has a purpose. Okay? And it shows that man is not a victim, but it's a victor. When there's a malaria, we don't have to sit back. We can fight it. That's why people even invented and start making mosquito nets, to fight about it, because it's not a normal thing, Evil is not a normal thing. God created a good world, and when there is evil, we have to fight it. We have to make it good again. So that's about the video, and I thought it summarized the cultural development and understanding poverty, and how can we come out of the poverty. Yeah.
I have a question. Sorry, I kind of interrupted you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What would your thoughts be on I watched a documentary a couple weeks ago, or last week, just about some advances that they're making in genetically engineering mosquitoes to basically eradicate mosquitoes in certain places in Africa in order to fight malaria. And I guess I just wondered what, like, your opinion or what your thoughts are on that, and potentially also its ethical implications.
That's a very good question. I think if I understand correctly, your question is connected to what you watched, that every single thing in creation has a purpose, right? Okay, so the question, what can we do with the mosquitoes? Should we eradicate them? What? But what I want to go back to you is that we should not forget that there was a fall. The world is fallen, sinful. And he said when the sin entered, God said that it produced thorns and thistles. Okay? So that means there are some things which they are here today, they were not there at the beginning. Because there are some thorns and thistles. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Thistles, but yeah.
Yes.
Thistles. Yeah.
So that they came after the fall. So I don't know. I'm not sure about it. Maybe the mosquitoes is part of that, because I've never heard in the science community that they find a use for it. So maybe we still have to, I'm open to be convinced, but we still have maybe to continue phase research. But as of now, they are really killing a lot of people. So I don't have a problem to eradicate them.
Yeah.
Who does?
I
So,
don't think anyone likes mosquitoes.
yeah, so they are quite annoying. If we can find a use for it, and maybe like if the research can continue and find a good use, that they're not making people sick again, and they are bringing some good to humanity, yeah, we'll keep it. But as of now,
mosquitoes are pretty useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need bats to eat
only
them,
food from other
only
bodies.
for-
Yeah. Part of the thorns and thistles.
Yes.
So that would be my answer. I hope it helps. Thank you. All right. So yeah. With the video as well, also the other thing I wanted to talk about, I already started that the worldview of the people matters. Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
The worldview of the people matters. It's very important to look at the worldview. And the other thing is that the church needs to take responsibility as well, not just we are concerned with the spiritual part and leave the other part for other people. We need to take responsibility because God has given us both. Things concerning life that pertain to life, and things that are to make us godly. And the third point I want to make is families need to be empowered. Families need to be empowered because family is the smallest unit of the society. You know, when things are not going well with the family, you harm the society at large. So you get to see that they've been wonderful organizations, NGOs, they go, and some they say, okay, we're just empowering women, we're empowering girls, we're empowering this. You know. In the end, it can do harm and good. But yes, families need to be empowered, you know, because yes, we targeted individual, but these individuals also they come from a family. So it's very, very important to empower the family. So I just want to show you one family, what happened to that family, and that maybe it will help us to understand. Let's open our Bible to 1 Samuel chapter number 8. We read just the first verses. Somebody can read there. first verses, I was just say so.
Yeah. How many verses?
Just to see the video, I'll say so. Sorry, I didn't mark from which verse to put that.
Oh, it's good. Yeah. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as Israel's leaders. The name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second was Abijah, and they served at Beersheba. But his sons did not follow his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice.
Thank you. Now, what else are we looking for? Already, you can read the whole story at your own time about Samuel and his family from this book. Can do your studies. But what I want to show you is that Samuel was the greatest prophet that they had. Okay, he was acting as a judge and a prophet and a priest. But his life was so busy that he was making long journeys. Okay, going from one city to another city, going from this city, from Yogo, and all these long journeys. And imagine that time without proper transportation. That means it was really all these journeys. And this has made him that whenever he was coming, he was tired. He could not give quality times to his family, to his children. So you can see now these kids, they have grown up, they are men. So he is old. He has become old. He wanted somebody to succeed him, and he's appointing some of his children. But because they didn't have the same character like their father, and I would assume that they didn't have good time, father, son, because the father always, when he comes, he's tired. I see it for myself. I travel a lot as well, going teaching. When I'm coming from the tree, I'm really dead. My kids, they're coming. They want to have time with me, but I still need some time to recover myself. So think about this Samuel during his time. Now we have planes, we have that time it was even hard. So he couldn't have good time, quality time with his family, and the children didn't learn the character from the father, and now they turn out to corruption and and bad things. And if you could continue, maybe just read a little bit, some few verses.
So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, "You are old, and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have."
Have you seen the consequence now? Okay. That was the consequence. The breakdown of the family of Samuel has led the elders of Israel to come and ask for what?
King.
You see that? Okay. So the family is very, very important. Okay. If you don't take care of the family, then the mess will grow and impact the whole nation. So now you can see, sometimes we always say, oh, the children of Israel, they were crazy. They wanted a king, but yet God was their king. But here, the writer is making sure that we don't miss the point, okay? That the problem is coming from Samuel's problem, the family. Understand? The failure of his family has impacted the nation, that the people now have to say, it's not working with these children of Samuel. Yeah? Look at, they're corrupt. They're sleeping with women who are coming to a lot of bad things, bribe. So I said, we are just tired of this. We need a king. Understand? So the family is the smallest unit of the society, but it has power. So the family is the first line of defense against immoral behavior. Family is the smallest unit of defense against poverty. So it's very, very important that when we are going to develop cultures or to bring community development, focus on the family, build strong families, because strong families create good churches are strong churches. Strong churches will create strong communities, and strong communities will create great nations. Together. Right. Any questions so far? I want to go to something now. Finish. Question from Malawi, India, Nigeria. No question. Thank you. Okay. So you remember our pyramid, development pyramid. We said we need the natural resources, we need effective government, we need infrastructures, we need financial services, and then we need business. Okay. So now I'll just go through some few things about business. I know you have learned already, but it's good as the way also to escape poverty and also looking at development. You cannot run away from business. So what is business? How do you start a business? How do you maintain a business? So these are the three questions that we're going to look at as we are finishing our lecture for this 4 days that we'll be together. So number one, the most important thing that we need to know, that the purpose of wealth is not for ourselves. The purpose of business or anything that we create is not for ourselves. It's for the poor and the powerless. It's for the poor and the powerless. Why do you want to do what you want to do? Why do you want to do business? So if you make that clear, then that would be very important. So let's just look at this scripture quickly. Luke chapter number 12 from verse 16 to 21. Then I will continue with the other thing.
And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, what shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, this is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I will say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God.
I think this is clear. Why do you want to work? Or why do you want to work? Why do you want to do what you want? So here you can see the repeated word. It's I will do this. I will do this. I will do this.
Does this also relate to the idea of retirement?
Retirement. That's a good question. I think there is no short answer to that. So we can discuss during lunch. If I start answering that, it will take. But thank you. Remind me after lunch. But the point here is, you see, whatever we do, the kingdom of God has to be the center. Okay, not I. And when you put God to be the center of what you're doing, God will bless that work because He knows it's not about I, it's about other people. Okay? So many people today, they do struggle because the project or the things they do is just for themselves. They want to benefit themselves. They want to make their name great, people can say, okay, they build this business, or Mr. So-and-so have done ABCD. So the question in the story here is, who will inherit those things if your life is required? So we need to set our priorities before we start the business. That who is going to benefit from the business is for the poor and the powerless. Okay, why did God bless Abraham? Was it for himself? No. He said through him, all the families of the earth will be what? Blessed. Why did God make David king? Was it for himself? No. He said to shepherd my people, what? Israel. Okay. Why did God give Solomon wisdom? Was it for himself that he can say there was a wise man? No. He said so that he can judge what? His people. So that's it. It appears to me that's the strategy and what God is doing. When he's giving you something, a business or anything, is for his glory. That through that other people can be empowered and blessed. Okay. So what is business? Trading of goods and service with the aim of making profit. That's a secular definition of business. Okay, trading goods and service with the aim of making profit. So here, the secular definition, the goal is making profit. Okay? Make profit. Does it mean that profit is bad? I'm not saying that, but that's a secular way of looking at it. Okay, but looking at from the other perspective, the Christian way, the biblical perspective, is the trading of goods and service as an act of worship. It's an act of worship. So what does it mean? What does worship means? Does it mean raising hands, singing song, holy, 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 holy? It's part of worship, but worship is the whole lifestyle. And whatever you do, what it means is that you put God at the center of everything you do. That's worship. Okay? So your business, number one, the purpose of business is that number one, you want to reveal the character and nature of God. Okay? So that's worship. Okay? Why are you doing business? You want to reveal the character and the nature of God, the way you do your business. People should see that. Number two, you want to serve the customers, to serve other people, not profit. It's a service to other people. Why? Why do you have to serve other people? Because people, they're made in the image of God. We're together? People, they're made in the image of God. Whether they're Christians or non-Christians, they're made what? In the image of God. That's why they deserve service. You have to serve them with dignity and respect. And now the final thing, of course, is you have to make a profit, because business without making profit is also something. But how do you make profit? You reveal the character of God. You give good service to the people, and then the people themselves, they will recommend to one another that, hey, if you want good service, go to this place. In the long run, you make profit. But if you put profit first, what we're going to do, you are putting yourself at the center, and you mistreat people that are made in the image of God, and in the long run, you're not going to even make the profits that you want to make, because people run away. I could have said many things in Africa and in Malawi. You'll find people that they're rude to their customers because they think they're bosses. No, the customer is the boss. You need to take care of them, because a satisfied customer, we learned yesterday, so will go and bring more customers. So mainly, apart from all advertisement and the things that we do on internet, online, but business, they grow through the word of mouth most of the time. People, they talk to each other. Oh, go to Migros, you find the ABCD. Go to this, okay? So we need to take care of people, give them good work, service. Okay, so how do you start? You need a vision. Without a vision or a revelation, the Bible says people perish. So you need a vision. So, how do you get a vision of a business or what you want to do? It's again, it has to come from your passion to serve people, your passion to add value to people. But where you are, you see the needs of the people, what they're struggling to get, So that means that will be your motivation because you want to make a difference. So you need to observe the needs. There is a formula in business where we say, how do you know that this thing can be marketable? When you go to a shop yourself or something, you want something and you don't find it, you can conclude that around 1,000 people, they're looking for the same thing, they are not finding it, okay? So it's not everything, but that's the first step, when you go, you're looking for something, you cannot find it in the shop. Some people, they're looking for something, they don't find it. So you can start building your business idea on that. So you observe the needs and you create a strategy how to meet that need. And then you need to acquire knowledge. How many people they're in the market? You do a market research. How many people are going to buy that product? How many competitors there in that same environment? You make that analysis. And where do you get your product? The transportation, the producers. Will the price be stable within a long period of time? And then you do also the environmental assessment of that region. Is the region stable, or are there some threats of war? That you want to start a business and then the war will break up and then you lose everything and become a refugee. All these kind of things you have to think about it. And then commitment. You need commitment. You cannot start a business or a project or anything without commitment. We just learn that life is not easy, that there's always hard times, So your business is not going to be an exception. That you just started and hallelujah, everything is working. You need to work hard.
I know in some ways it will depend on what kind of business you're doing. But if you're setting up a business with a goal to then empower and pass it on to someone else, what do you think is the minimum amount of time you need to be committed to the company or business?
Okay, according to business schools and the research and the school I did is to build a business, it takes 3 to 5 years to build a business. You cannot go faster than that because you need time to learn. You will make mistakes, and then after 5 years, if your business is not established.
Also, I think in business, credibility is very important, and that comes with the time when people start trusting you, trusting your product, and you really get. Even you drive few extra kilometers to get bread or certain things because you like person, you also like the product.
Yeah, that's correct. So that one comes with time and commitment as well. Because people, that I see a lot in Africa, that people, it impacts small scale business, startups. People who are starting, they will start today selling fish, and when a week is finishing, they see that it's not working, they will change to start selling groundnuts or eggs. And then the other week you find them, they're selling clothes. So you are not committed to one idea. So you confuse customers because today the customers, they see you're selling fish. They say, oh, here they are selling fish. I'll come next week. Next week they come, they find you're selling eggs. So they start selling fish, they're selling eggs. When they want to come to buy eggs, you want to sell them cloth. So that's the question of commitment. That do a proper research. When you want to start that thing, that business, you are committed to that idea, and you give yourself into it until it succeeds.
Thank you.
Principles on how to start. Small beginning, big future. That's very, very helpful. I know so many people, and I counsel so many people when it comes to business. You know, some people, they always want to start big. But what you have to know is that you cannot start big in the area that you don't have the experience, you don't have the knowledge of it. And many people, they want to start this new field when they retired from their normal work and they want to start big. And because of that, they go and take credits and loans. So if you start big and you fail, you lose a lot. Big mistakes, you know. But if you start small and you fail, it's a small mistake you can encounter. So many people, they've lost their houses, lost things because they were entering into a field that they have no knowledge about it, and they want to start big. You need to start small because you make small mistakes. And then with experience, with time, when you know, then you can start, growing, building networks, seeing the other business you are doing, partnership, and then you can grow your business. But just to start big, yeah, some people, they succeed. I don't have to be all negative, but it's only a few. So only a few, the lucky ones. Okay, but the principle, start small. Everything big today started small. Okay, even yourself, you started with kind in the womb. Now look at you, beautiful, handsome. The beard, very nice. But you started small. So start small, become big. Start with your own power. That I can't emphasize enough. Many people, they go to the banks. It's better here in Europe. You have better interest rates. But in my country, hey, it was 24%, but now I think it's around 30% interest. But that's the one that you are seeing they are telling the bank. And there are some hidden charges that they are attached to that in the end, you work hard for the bank, but you don't benefit. So can you imagine you want to start a business, you don't have the experience, and you get the loan from the bank, and then you have this great, big interest that you have to pay. It's not easy because the bank, what they do, they want to work their money working hard for them. So their money, they'll be working hard through you. Okay? Money is working hard for the bank through you. And in the end, yeah, I have many friends that they have lost properties because you need a collateral, right? To get the loan from the bank. So many people, they lose it. They say already in my country, they said if you put your car as a collateral, you need already to change the title deeds, the papers of the car in the name of what? The bank. So that if something fails, automatically the car is in the name of the bank, the same with the house. And that's what is happening. Many people lose their thing. So start with your own power. If you have friends, borrow money from friends who can borrow you, who trust you. Maybe they give you little interest or without interest. That's a good way to start. You can also start as a group, analyzing your capital, and this one will contribute this and that, then the business. Yeah.
What would you say about inspiring investors to join what your plans are for business?
Yeah, that's also a good idea. Investors are, because they become part of the business, and you really need to make a very good memorandum of understanding. Like that you have a copy that you agree with these investors, okay? That this is a business idea, this is what we are looking for, this is the investment needed, this is how we're going to share the profits, that is clear, If you do that, go for it. Because sometimes I've also seen people that they invite people to invest and they didn't make this clear at the beginning, and they end up into big troubles. Very big troubles.
Very good.
So starting with your own power, it's always a good idea. And then when you are having success, you can sell some shares. You can ask some investors to come and be part of your business. Increase little by little. Okay. Increase little by little. Okay. I've seen the trap in Africa. Many people, they want to win 100% on a product. That you buy it for $50, you sell it for $100. That the disadvantage is that your thing becomes so expensive, and customers run away and go to buy in bigger shops because you can't compete with people with bigger shops. So that becomes a problem. So if you win little, you make your prices fair, you increase little by little, you attract more customers. But if you make it very expensive, your things can stay 3 months without selling, and during that time you're losing the value of the product, and also if you're depending on the same money, you are eating the capital. So it's not just worth it. So increase little by little. Okay, how to maintain a business? Don't allow credit when you are starting small. This is mainly for my friends in Africa. People, they like to start business and sell on credit. Hey, you just start your business. Your capital is small. You depend on that capital. You are starting selling on credit. Are you serious? If one customer doesn't give you the money, that's your business is gone. Your business is gone. So don't allow credit. Don't take credit and don't give credit. Sell on cash basis. Look for things that you can start selling right away, cash, and generate the revenue and keep it keep it going. And don't eat everything. Invest. Okay, I'm about to finish now. Okay, so steps to follow: identify opportunities, design a plan, implement, review and monitor, and evaluate whether it's working. If it's not working, make a new research. Don't give up. You're a manager. You can do it. If you fail, you can stand up again. You can stand up again. You can keep on going. You are stronger than what you think. You're really strong. You can do it. Don't look down on yourself. The people who have big businesses today, they fail many times. Failure, somebody said, failure is not bad. It's only bad when it attacks your heart. Okay? That you cannot separate your failure and yourself. But if you take it to be an experience, it can be a good teacher. Failure can be a good teacher. Right. So I think that's the end. We were talking about poverty, community philosophies, biblical development, creation pyramid, and resource stewardship, myths, and development continuum. And then you had a bonus lecture about business. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 5 minutes. 5 minutes time. So if somebody wanted to ask me a question, I would take my 5 minutes. I like to finish properly my time.
Yes. So maybe we can start with online. If you have any questions, now would be the time to ask them.
Yes, we appreciate the teaching of Decent on community development and poverty, but we don't know, we want to know a little about him. Would he please just introduce himself? Let's want to just know him.
Okay, I missed my introduction. Who is Decent? That's a good question. Okay, I think you can hear me. Decent, I'm a Malawian. I'm the firstborn of 11 children. Now I am in Switzerland. I live in Switzerland because I have a Swiss wife. We met 2007 in the Y1 school, the DTS. We have 3 kids, 12, 9, and 5. And we have some community projects, community development projects in Malawi. We have a primary school, we have a secondary school, we have a clinic, and we have agriculture projects. Right now we are growing fish, tilapia, and catfish, and some chickens, pigs. We train people. We are training teachers with Education for Life. People who like to become teachers. And also we teach about business, startups, entrepreneurship. That's what I'm passionate. I'm an environmental scientist. So when it comes to agriculture, I know a lot, different farming methods, and how to analyze the soil, how to heal the land, and how to make your own fertilizer, to chemical, to natural pesticides, and yeah, just in general business development. That's my thing. And also I'm the author. I wrote 2 books. The first book is called Poverty and Alternative Economy. You can find it on Amazon. You can buy it if you want. And the other one is about basic leaderships and management. So that's about me. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions from the people online? Yes.
One question from here. As Decent was teaching, he mentioned about the banks, that borrowing from the bank is not a reliable idea. So if one of us want to start up a banking system in the future, so how can we manage to borrow funds from other people without infringing their rights, or maybe oppressing them, or maybe killing their business or their dreams? Is there any other way on how the bank can actually lend money to people with the aim of developing the people? Or is it that the bank is on a black now, it's like no go zone? Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's a very, very good question. I think we on the Institute, King's Institute, Leaders for the Future, Malawi website, we have a teaching from a guy from Germany. He has dealt with that question about how did the cooperatives started in Germany and how the bank, Life License Bank, started. That was mainly the idea was to help the people. So we can redeem the bank systems in Malawi by being planted in the system and started talking sense to the leadership. How can we help the people of Malawi? Or you can start your own bank. I'll be more than willing to help you. How can you set up a bank? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? From India, maybe if you have any question, you can say it now. Okay. Do we have any question here in the classroom that you would still like to ask?
It's maybe more as well a personal question. I don't know if it's too long, you don't have to answer. But I'm very curious to hear, how did you deal at the end with the problem of God being almighty and being good or loving? How did you deal with that now?
That's a good question. Yeah, the question, it's a personal question. That was part of my introduction, that I struggled because of the poverty that I grew up in Malawi. And going to church, it was just too much in my mind, knowing that the whole community, everybody is poor, is struggling. But when I go in the church, they say God is loving and at the same time is almighty. Almighty means he can do anything, he can change the weather, he can change my poverty. So then the first solution was to run away. We started a group called For Boys Paganism. We couldn't go to church anymore, but just drinking, doing a lot of bad things. But when it was not working, one of my friends died of HIV, and the other one is not stable. And then I had to rethink and read the Bible again. And it's when I realized that the problem is not that God is the one messing up the world. He has given the world to man that we can manage it. And if I can start following management principles, I can come out from the poverty. So that was the solution, that I realized that God is almighty, as he said he is, and is loving, as he said he is, but the earth has been given to man. That's what the Bible says, that he has given man to manage. So it's like when we are using this classroom, it's for SPCW students. If there is a mess, big mess, papers everywhere here, we cannot go to the best leadership and say, hey, our room is in a big mess. They'll say, shut up, just clean up, okay? So it's the same. We are responsible for the mess that we are creating in the world, and we are responsible to clean it up. But God is willing to be involved and to help us, to give us the idea how we can put things back.
Thank you.
Any other question from Switzerland? Yes.
Well, it's kind of a two-part question, it's more personal again, but do you still have family in Malawi?
Yes.
Yep. So how do you empower, encourage, and show them Christ?
I still have a family in Malawi. It's a big family. We're 11 children. Everybody is still alive. We don't say it's a good family, but we say it's a great family. There's a difference between a good family and a great family. A great family, you find everybody. We still have some people who are struggling with issues, and we have people who are doing well. So we have a mixture of people. So I try to be an example not to harm everybody, that you have to be. So you find other people who are struggling with alcohol in the family. You find either they are struggling with some other people, and some also they're making progress. I have a young brother who is in Switzerland right here with me. He's here, and we have other people that are doing well. They're in leadership positions. Well, my sister is part of the directorship in the primary school. My other brother, they are doing some things. So we are not yet there, but every day we work hard and try to be the family that maybe we can be an example. So that's all we are. Others, they are still young, they are still in school. The last sister of my family and the last born boy is doing, they are still in school. Yeah.
We have another question.
Thank you. Yes.
Allow.
Just needed an explanation on how to start a business. Because we have learned about observing the needs of the people. So, if you are observing the needs of the people and you have realized what is the need in the community, and you want to start small, and how can you do? Because as you have identified the needs of the people, that means you need to have more funds that can help you to collect or to buy the demands of the people in the area. So with the little of starting with your own power, that means you start with the little you have. So how can you meet the demands of the people? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Yeah, that question comes into the category of what we call capital management and the understanding of capital. What is a capital? And many people, they have these ideas that they equate money with capital. But money is never a capital. Okay, it's a product of a capital. Okay, so you need money, but it's a liquid capital. That's what I'm saying. It will help you. So there are some other ways that you can assess what you want to do. And when I say you can start with your own power, we can form partnership. Let's say you want to start the business of bricks, selling the bricks for construction. Now we have a cyclone in Malawi. Houses that have collapsed. People that like to buy some bricks. What do you need? Somebody can have a the casing to build the bricks. Somebody can have a drum. Somebody knows where you can get the water. Somebody has a wood lot, where you can cut the wood, which is not a good idea to bend the bricks. And already you can do something and bring it on the market without even having the cash in your hand. So I think it's a very good question, and I would like to address it when I'm in Malawi. We will have some startup seminars when I'm in Malawi, which next week I'm coming, so we'll organize. So I'll make sure that you're part of that seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we will move on now, and I would love to do a round of feedback from every location. So maybe just one person from every location can tell Decent what you appreciated about his teaching. So I would say let's start in India.
Thank you very much, Decent. It was really a great teaching for us because we see a lot of times, relief work or rehabilitation or any mercy ministries that many churches or many Christian teams are doing, or even others. But to really clearly understand, from to move on relief work and then rehabilitation and then bring it into development was very important thing for us, and it's really helpful for many of us, who really have a heart to help many communities. And also it really helps us that we can help the churches and also the Christian communities to understand that, because that when you bring it to development, that's the long-term thing, and also that's a very much like how we encourage here in this system to bring that change, to bring the to make a difference in the community, and really help with all that. And, we are also blessed with the teaching that you wrote today, to understand the environmental stewardship. So it's very hard actually. Even as Christians, many still don't understand that part. So like we are how to say, many Christians still becoming still being a part of the problem and not being part of the solution when it comes to environmental issues and things, and even when it comes to business too. So all these things will really help us to understand well, and then from the biblical worldview, and also it will really help us to have the impact on the Christian community first, to be an example. We have this stewardship environment. Thank you very much, and it's really helpful. We would really like to connect with you, to have some more teachings actually. So thank you very much for this week for the teachings.
Thank you so much. Next time I'm coming to India.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Moni, for sharing. Maybe Ibadan can share something now. Would you appreciate it this week?
Yes, we want to appreciate Decent for the lectures, the teachings. It was really mind opening and eye opening also. We usually see some work before us not important. We tend to look for the white collar jobs and naturally look at some work as if they are secondhand. But through your teaching, we now understand more clearly that work is instituted by God, and we can start where we are. We can change the now before we think of changing the world. So really appreciate it, and may God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I miss Nigerian food, so I'll come back.
Thank you so much, Ibadan. Maybe somebody from Malawi would like to share something.
Malawi.
I want to appreciate Vicente for what he's doing something on environmental stewardship. You say that God created this world. First, God created things that will support a mind to live, things that will help a mind to survive. He first created those things. But as we are polluting those things, we forgot that we should maintain those things. We forget that we should be good stewardships. And when we have faced problems due to our own cause, we pray to God that God, why this? God, why this? We forgot that we are the ones who are causing the problem. And when God is not answering us, we thought that God is silent. We thought that God is not hearing us. Well, God knows that we should be the one first to maintain it first. We should be the one. So this is what I mean, that not everything we should pray to God. There's some things you just have to conserve them ourselves, to maintain them ourselves, because we are also the cause of these things. What else? Thanks.
Thank you so much. Maybe if Yael would like to share something as well.